Hello, good morning, and welcome to day 30, 31, 31. Okay, so today we are talking about the field, the void, the field, and the womb. So we're going to talk about these three phenomenons, and we're going to talk about the connection between them. So when we talk about the creation pillar, the sacral chakra, the womb, the source of creation, the source of connection, and it's the gateway to the gateway to the mysticism, to the untangible, to the things that hasn't already come into manifest. So it's the field of limitless potential. It's the energy of becoming. So this is where life is created. This is where anything is created. This is the space between thought, between ideas, before anything comes into life. And because we are women, we have this extraordinary connection and this ability to grasp the intangible, to understand what is not visible, to understand the things that are not yet into form. So if we begin with the void is the silence. So the void is an empty space. It's the gateway into the field, and it's the gateway into the womb. It's the gateway into creation. It's the silent space where anything is possible. So this is the energy of limitless potential. And if you are in the entrepreneurial scene, or if you are a creator or some sort of, you're an entrepreneur, you might have heard the concept of the void, where it's a description of a state, because the universe uses this contraction and expansion energy. And that is also the connection with the womb, because this is where we have the contraction and the expansion. That is the energetics of the womb. And it's the same with the GI tract. So there's this connection to this contraction and expansion. And this works on many, many different levels. So the breath is one, and we have the GI tract, we have menstrual cramps, we have birth cramps, we have this movements that comes and goes, and it's connected to many, many aspects in the universe, as we spoke about the other day. So in this expansion and contraction that moves everything along in the universe, there might be sometimes where we experience this phase as stillness, that where nothing happens, where nothing moves. And this can be called the void. So you can feel the energy is either you are wrapped up in things happening, there's this happens that leads to this, that leads to that, and there's this motion sometimes. And that's the energy of if we talk about the fire horse, it has an energy of being fast and moving along quickly. So we have contrasts in these, because it's a movement. And sometimes we can experience it as very still, and that nothing happens, and that we can have these, it's like everything is hanging in the air. There's like a decision that hasn't been made. There's this, and then everything stops. And then before it falls in and organizes itself. And sometimes in life we can experience it. We can have big experiences like this, or smaller, where you can almost sense like the whole universe is like holding its breath. And in those, when those experiences happen, it feels like we are like orbits where there's nothing to really grasp, nothing is really certain. And in life, we can have these experiences more or less often, and they can be more or less intense. But in life, we have these moments where we experience this sense of void, where there's nothing to, it's like this, it's this black space where nothing happens. It feels like we are just waiting endlessly, a lot of uncertainty. And in this space, there might be, we can feel uncertain, and uncertainty is usually quite distressing on the body. So our ability to be able to hold uncertainty, that is where we start to hold the pressure of becoming. Then we are, it's like we are in the forefront of holding the pressure of manifestation, of being comfortable in the uncomfortable. This is often called the void space, and the void space is where anything is possible. So in this extreme uncertainty, everything is possible. So there's this, the one that can hold the pressure of the uncertainty, that's where it's a lot of exponential possibility for manifestation. If you can hold your focus, if you can hold the line, hold the vision, hold the faith, hold truth, hold expression. So this is, there's a lot of personal power in being able to hold this void. So the void is the silence. So when we go into the silence, it can also be experienced as uncertain, because there's constant things happening in this void. And then we have the connection to the field. So we talked about this in the Telegram space a little bit, about the interconnected web. That's what I call it, the interconnected web. But I will refer it to as the field, because that is the most common way of talking about it. But the field is also a web. It's like an invisible web. And this is where everything is connected. This is the empty space. So you can say that the void, you have the void and it's the empty space. And then you also have the field, and they are connected because the void and the silence is the gateway to connect to the field. So the field is, you can see the field as everything that is open space. So where the eye will perceive that is nothing there, but there is actually something there. And this is the field of the intelligence, where everything is organizing itself. And this is the where spirit is communicating through. It's in this vast space of emptiness is the relational field of the interconnected web. And this is where, so you tune in through the silence, and then you connect to the web or the field, and this is where information is available. And I'm speaking to this in a very, very, of course, simplified way. There's so much studies, there's so much projects around this, there's so much communication. I mean, it's just an extraordinary scientific field on all of this. So if you want to go deeper into this, you can. I'm speaking to it as a relational thing that we are referring to and connecting to, and then you can go as deep as you want into this as as you wish. So the womb is the physical manifestation in the feminine body of the space and the field. It's the space where the feminine body, it's where it comes into manifestation, because when it's the field, it's still in the energy, and then when it comes into the body, the field works through the womb, because that is the connection. So we start to sense the field, we sense the void through our felt experience. So it's a sense, it shows up, the way that the field is communicating with the body or with the human is through sensation. So we read, it's like we read the room. The field is the room. It's this unspoken energy in the room. You know, when you can walk into a room and you can feel, it's like, oh, I could cut the tension through the air. You can cut it with a knife. And it's this, you have this hunch, you have this sensation, you have this knowing. So the stronger the body connection is, then we can learn to read not only the room, but situations, because we become very subtle in our communication with the body. So the deeper the body connection is, the more subtle and more accurate we can read the information from the field. So when we are very, very attuned and we trust ourselves, and we have, then the more you clear the imprints in the nervous system, in the reactivity, in the belief system from the past. So we are not, because when we have imprints, there's no space between the action, well, the reaction and the action. And that goes on autopilot. So we don't even notice when we are not listening properly. It's like we are using glasses that are tinted, but we aren't aware of that. But the more we come back into connection with the body, the more we start to harmonize with the past and not attach ourselves through the automizations in the body, and we become more aware, we can create space, then we can listen in a different way, and we can realize things in a different way, and we can sense, we start to read between the lines. So this is where the sensation turns on, and we start to live in harmony with the field and with what's coming. And in the field, there is this different energetic currents due to astrology, to the planets in different positions, and that creates different energetic currents. And when we become subtle and connected, we can start to harmonize with this, and things starts to go our way. We start to become more connected to oh, this is for me, this is not for me, because the body will start to communicate very clearly that this is the right path, this is the right choice. No, I want this, I don't want that. And you can start to sense and see connections. And this is where everything is connected. So the physical body is deeply connected to the rhythms of nature. The rhythms of nature are deeply connected with the energetic currents of the other planets. So everything is in harmony. There is a way of life where everything flows and everything is in sync. So what we want to do is to become aligned with, okay, why am I actually here? What is my real purpose in this lifetime. And it doesn't have to be huge. We just need to know, why am I here? What am I doing? And is this what I really want? So when you are aligned with what you want, then you start to align with the field, and then the body starts to align, and then we can start to listen and pay attention. And it's like this, the information from the universe doesn't come as a ready manual. If you read the Bible, if you read a lot of spiritual books, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of, the word I'm looking for is, you're speaking in references, you're speaking in stories that shares the point. There's not a, because the universe is built on principles, is not on solid facts, because we are all here on different journeys. We all have different paths, and we are here to learn different things. That's why the journey for different, even if we're in the same journey, even if we're studying with the same tools and practices, our journeys won't look the same, because we have different obstacles we need to overcome. We have different things that we need to come to terms with. We have different things we need to forgive. But the principles are the same. And that is why multiple truths has to be able to coexist. Otherwise, we would be all the same clones going through the same story, the same life, and that's just not what we're doing. So the deeper we can be connected to the body, and then it's like we are connected to each other. So my body is speaking to your body through the field. So we are sending information to each other through the field, and it's through the nervous system. So the field is like the universal nervous system. So it's like we can transfer information to each other because we are picking it up through the nervous system. So when two bodies, so if there's a teacher and a student in a somatic session, there will be multiple layers of communication between these two people. And if I'm the teacher and you are the student, then my nervous system will communicate to your nervous system, and I will start to pick up on information from your body that your body is already communicating. And then I will start to sense that in my own body. So if I have a strong body connection, if I'm accessing silence inside, and if I'm completely connected to my body and not my thoughts and not my mind and my conceptual idea of what's happening, if I'm really in tune, then I can start to pick up on what's happening in the other person's body. And this is where we start to, when you think the same things, when the same words pop up, when you say the same things at the same time, when you call each other on the same time, it's like this synchronicity starts to happen. And then you start to see like, oh, this happened, and then that happened, and then it's all interconnected. So it's through this universal nervous system that we can sense each other. And this is where we are empathic beings. The heart is connected to your heart. We're one heart. We're one system. There's one soul that is, it's like these, when the drop realizes it's the ocean. So we are super connected, and trauma and difficult situations that cause separation between people. But when we are connected to the body, we can start to pick up. And the more we learn, the more we understand, and the more we come back to the body, connect to the self, and start to clear the nervous system from old imprints, then we start to become very tactile, and we can pick up the information that is in the field. So, for instance, if there is a challenge or if there's a situation that feels contracting, then we can go into silence, and if we disconnect all preconceived ideas and we only connect to the body, then we can start to bring in the information from the field and decipher the information through the body. And then we can start to learn what's the teaching in this, and the quicker we can apply, then the quicker we will align. So we align with the field, with this unspoken intelligence that some people call God, source, creation, spirit, whatever you want to call it. So that is how everything is interconnected. And then when we are very much aligned, then we are having these incredible synchronicities. We are experiencing these wow moments. And then 5 minutes later, we're back to ordinary life. And we keep asking for signs. And we ask for signs and we get the signs. And then we don't trust the signs. And then we need more and more. We need this constant affirmation, this constant affirmation of that we're on the right path, that we're on the right track. And the nervous system and the body is made to pick up on threats, because if we look at the world in general, it is a very, very dynamic place. If you look at nature and the hierarchy in nature, and I mean, it's brutal, the way that many animals live, and that they hunt for their next meal and they are the prey. And it's a very brutal aspect of this world. And if we look at back in the days, I mean, life is very different now, and it's very challenging in other ways, but it's the same. In the same way, it's more safe to live in this in a different sense. So it was difficult in different ways. So back in the days, we were more, and it was like brutal life just in the streets, in world in general. So we know, I mean, the body is very accustomed to danger. Our whole system is built on detecting danger. So we have so many sensors inside of the body that goes on in different levels. But we're not only supposed to pick up danger. That is just the main thing. That is the fear. We have a large capacity for fear. And then we can start to contain that fear and have a reasonable amount of fear, because we have the fear state in the body. When we have a lot of stress, it's so heightened. So it's like, it's, how to say, when we have a lot of fear in our bodies, that's I can't find the English word, so annoying. It blacks out the recipients, it overrides the recipients for all the other amazing things that we are supposed to feel. But when we have a lot of stress, that is the main system. So then we only notice fear, 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 fear. And then the mind comes in and gets hijacked, because when there's a lot of stress in the body, in the system, the mind is It's like, okay, I have 100% proof that there's danger everywhere, so then I will pick up on danger everywhere. So when we have a lot of stress in the system, it's impossible to have a clear vision because we're so imprinted that everything is dangerous. And then we start to live in a false reality. So when we clear as much as possible from the past, like what we learned from our parents, maybe what we learned in school. I mean, my school, my time in school wasn't that pleasant. I have a lot of imprints of how the world works, or how I believe the world worked, depending on how I grew up, what people I had around me, what experiences I had, and what I was told about the world, the social cluster that I come from, the amount of money that I had growing up, my access to things and things that I needed when I grew up, the level of harmony that was in my home, how much courage do I have about myself, how much belief do I have about myself, how much do I love myself, how confident do I feel. All of these things we pick up from growing up. So then we are formed into a result of our upbringing. It doesn't have to necessarily have so much to do with who I am, because who I am can be changed due to my experience growing up, or in my life. There can a lot of big impact situations also happen later in life, but we are most the time during our lives where we can be formed is when we are young. So that's where most of the imprints come from. So when we start to look into these things and we start to really calibrate the nervous system, do deep regulation of the nervous system, realize or release a lot of the old imprints, the belief systems that maybe I'm not good enough, I do this, the life is hard, making a living is hard, living my dreams is hard. All of those imprints becomes reality, because what we believe is what we become. And the more openness we have, and the less ideas, or especially less limiting ideas we have about ourselves and the world, then we are not affecting, because who we are is also sending out to the field. So if let's say you can look at it as a software. So I have my physical body, and then the software is what I've been told growing up. So if I walk around believing certain things, then that is what I'm sending out to the field, and that is my reality, and the field responds to that. So that is the law of attraction, that we receive what we send out. So the more we work on on ourselves, the less dense energy, because the traumas and the negativity and the faulty belief systems and the faulty imprints, that has a dense energy, and that makes it very heavy, and it doesn't move quickly. It's not easy to resolve. It's heavy to break through. So when we are clearing this and the body starts to release this density, we feel lighter. So I think we all have experienced, if we are going through a heavy moment, and then we can release that, we can release through tears, we can release the pressure, maybe we get to talk about it, we get understood, and then how do you feel now? Yeah, I feel much lighter. I feel much lighter. And that is the physical remembrance and the sensation of the dense emotion actually leaving the system. That feels light, lightness of being. So when we feel good, we feel light, we feel, it feels easy. And then when it's heavy, it feels contracted and heavy. I don't know. I'm not sure. This feels heavy. It feels difficult. So there's that's why we talk about frequency and the heaviness of the energy of the emotions and the situations that we are experiencing. So the easier, the lighter we can become, the easier it is to align, because it's when we are in coherence with the bigger picture. And that is, truth and love is the highest hierarchical energetics of the universe. They have the highest organizing power. So when we can align ourselves with truth and love, that is when we become closer to the field and closer to the organizing powers. So then we become more aligned. And then when we start to get into this, then we really can start to see the interconnectedness. And when we can connect to the body and we can connect to the senses and we start to understand, because there's a pattern and we learn. So the more we tune into ourselves, the more we can hang out in the void, the more we can hang out in the space, the more we can hang out in the silence, the more connected we become to the infinite potential, and the more we connected we become to the relational intelligence of the field. So that's why we are in meditation, we can realize a lot of things. We get insights because we allow everything to slow down. We connect to the silence, and when we stay in the silence and in the field long enough, we will start to receive the information. And everyone is receiving information differently. Some can do it through hearing, through vision, through knowing, through sensing. So everyone has a different way, and can be, usually we are prone to one way. Some people are good at all of them. So for me, for instance, my information, it comes as a knowing. And sometimes there is words, but the words aren't on a mind level, it's on another level. But to me, it comes as pure intelligence in the sense of information and knowing. And so truth has a very particular sense connected to it. And when you start to identify the truth for you, so you as you practice, you will realize, okay, this is what truth feels like to me. So for me, truth has a very organizing power. It aligns the whole way. It's like Tetris when you get the full row and it collapses. And it's just, whoa. So to me, it's a very harmonizing energy that it's like the truth comes. And if I'm deciphering a scenario and I'm trying different things on, so there's different information coming, and it's like I'm putting them together, and it's like no, and then I put it together in one scenario, and and then there's like a breath, there's ease, there is energy and sensation organizing its way all through the pillars. It's like all the pillars harmonize at the same time. And then I know, there's the truth. And then when I go deeper into that truth, then I get confirmation from other aspects, because then energy starts to open up. And when I say open up, it's become less dense, it moves quicker. It's like the body is leaning forward. It's like a dam that opens. It's like ideas falling into place. People start to fill in each other's sentences. Things start to open up. Oh, that, and then that happened, and that happened, and that happened. So it's like, when you're in the flow. So I think just a couple of months after I left Sweden, so it's like 9 years now, I decided to only make choices based on this level of information and this feeling. So if there was a resistance when things aren't moving as I think they should, then I pay attention to that, because there's information in that situation. And I don't continue to do things that is not aligning unless. So there's I experience that is two different ways of resistance and alignment. So there's one level of resistance when I'm not supposed to do something, and that feels a certain way. And then there's another type of resistance when I know I'm supposed to do something and I'm receiving obstacles. Then there is usually some sort of interference from other energetics. That is, there can be intentions, there can be high stakes, it can be a high level. If there's a situation, so our Vietnam trip last year was one of those incidents. We knew that it was going to be a huge impact on us. We knew that from the get-go, and then we had problems along the way the whole time that was making it difficult for us. So we didn't even know if we were gonna be able to go. But we knew that, stay calm, don't go into. So there's a very particular way of dealing with situations, that is when we are experience high level of obstacles when we are supposed to do something. And then there is a special, if we meet that difficult energy with calmness and sobriety and sovereignty and personal power, and just align all the senses and just stay on track and not interfere, don't go into complications, don't go into emotions, because the more negative emotion we produce in the body, the more we are affecting the relational field. And the more we can clear the energy in ourselves, then the situation can open up. So that is a very interesting way of working with things. And when you start to realize that they are so deeply connected, that is a very interesting situation. So we learn through knowing in the body, we learn if, is this a resistance where I'm not supposed to do this? Is the universe showing me that don't go here by closing certain doors? Or is it a growth moment where I have to really align and focus and pay attention and really put some effort into overcoming this particular obstacle? So for some people, these can feel very much the same, but they are all body-based. So this is all practice. And this is what everything that I do is about, to learn how to connect to the body, open up the 7 pillars and learn the 7 pillars, because then you can they become like a filter for everything in your life. When you learn the energetics of these 7 pillars, then you start to stabilize and harmonize. And then you learn, okay, this is the energetics of this center. Okay, then I learn how to navigate and work with that. And as we are really dropping into the physical body, then we can start to become really, really attuned to what is happening outside of us. And then we can start to live in relationship with the world, with the universe, with nature, because there is so much information. And this field and this level of intelligence wants us to be aligned and connected. So it's walking through the world, being connected to the body, connected to the silence, and that is connection to the body is being in silence, because you are not disconnected from the body and living in the mind. So when we are living in the mind and constantly thinking about things, we are disconnected from the body. And then we are not living in relationship with this incredible intelligence that is wanting to guide us. It's like we have someone telling us what to do all the time, but we're not really listening and not paying attention, because we forgot that that's how it's done. And instead we have an overactive mind that we are giving way too much responsibility and power and choice, really. And the mind is really easy affected by other people's opinions, other people's truths, because it's the mind is clever in one way, but it's also very stupid in one way, because it doesn't have the intelligence of the body. It's just a part of the body. The rest of the body is extraordinary communicators. And then the mind is typically very repetitive and very negative and designed to find problems. And if we are designed to look for fears and problems, and especially women, our nervous systems are designed to look for perpetrators, because we are not as physically strong to maneuver the world. So our bodies are already prone to that. And then that can get out of hand. And then we start to live from ideas, opinions, belief systems that aren't truly ours. So it's about coming back to the body, allowing truth to be there, and then start to, okay, I want this truth. I don't know. Where does this truth come from? Oh, that was, yeah, it's like I had a truth because in many years, because when I grew up, there was this rule in school that you could never match red and pink. And then you could never match black and blue. That was like rules that some of the girls in our school had decided. And in my world, that was a universal truth. I mean, of course, it's fashion also. There was a certain time when you didn't mix red and pink, but times changes, and it's not a universal truth that you can't mix pink and red. But in my world, that was, so I had that in my head until I became a grown-up and realized, like, okay, I can use whatever colors I want. But it's these small weird imprints, and they come on so many different levels, and we allow them to rule our lives. So when we come back and look at what is it that actually I want, because then we start to look at, oh, am I worth having what I want? Why do I don't believe that I can have what I want? Why do I feel like I'm not worth it? Why do I feel like I'm not enough? So all of these insights, it's like this yarn of belief systems and old imprints that is like, it's this cluster, and then we have to entangle it. And as we entangle it, the experience of life becomes less dense, because this yarn is very dense, it's very tight. It's like when you pick up your headphones and they're tangled again. It's very easy for the human to get entangled in, especially with how the society is expressed today, because it's so much going on and it's so difficult to know who's doing the right thing, who's doing what. And the fact that people can do all of these things, have all their truths, but it doesn't have to do anything with me. So how do I know what is for me? And that is through the physical body, through opening up the sensations in the body, connecting to the sensation, connecting to the body, open up the body, access the parts that we have disconnected from. So emotional types of freeze, physical types of freeze, nervous system freeze. We have different layers of protection from the past. And all of these things we can start to, because when we look at them, we can start to unfold them. And when they unfold, they disappear and we create this space inside of the body. And then the signal becomes clear. And the void and the womb and the field are interconnected in an extremely cool and interesting system. So the more we learn, the more interesting it gets, the more connected we get, and we get good at it. And when we start to get good at it, then it starts to become fun. So in the beginning, it's like everything, we learn something new, but as we get connected and as we get feedback from the body, from other people, from communities, then things start to become a little bit easier. Okay, so it's 9:20 and I'm already done with my live. I really don't like not doing them in the morning, but life doesn't work that way always. So when I'm doing it in the afternoon, I feel like I don't know how I'm going to feel this afternoon. So it feels like I'm jeopardizing something. And then if I don't have the ability to do it in the morning, then I need to trust. And it's a very interesting process. So today I wanted to talk about this. So in February, so it is February 1st today, and it's full moon today. So the full moon affects the space, the void, it affects the silence, it affects the field, and it affects the body. And it's because it moves the water, and we are basically water beings. Hey, Lucky. So when it's a full moon, then we can feel like, there's so much happening because we're moving energy inside our bodies. There's a lot moving in the field. There's not a lot moving everywhere. So that's how we are very connected to nature and the energetic currents that are moving through the field. So the full moon has an effect on the energetic currents because of the placements of the planets and the sun and the moon and all of this. Now I get a little bit distracted because she's meowing and she wants more candy. Where was I? Lucky, you're not helping. Yes. So 17 days until Fire Horse starts properly, fully. So in Chinese astrology, there is it's not one date. They are transitioning over a week, but I think the main day is the 17th. And so I'm launching Phoenix Rising. I mean, I started this in the beginning of January, but this is the culmination of the launch of the Phoenix Rising. So the mastermind is going to open in February. The sensational body course is happening at the end of February, and all through February I'm launching one-on-one sessions discounted if you want to drop in with me just for one session. So I will be sharing more about this, I think, tomorrow, and I will be opening up some spaces in the Telegram group with information so everything is accessible. Now Lucky is looking at me. She's sitting on her little pedestal, demanding more candy. Okay, this is it for today. We have only one pillar left, the sovereignty. And I also feel very inspired to do the in-depth creation pillar in my Playing with the Creation course that is also included in the mastermind if you sign up for that. So the mastermind is where we will be having the in-depth conversations where you can ask me things about your personal life, about concepts, about ideas, listen to me coach other people, and to really expand within these topics. And the mastermind is 3 calls per month, group calls. And if you sign up for the mastermind, the sensational course is included, and also the Playing with Creation course. So the mastermind is going to be where the courses are hosted. You will have access to the material and also have a lot of access to somatic practices through the Wellspring. And then you show up in the calls to refine your experience and get the solutions and the resolve that you need to move forward. That's it for today. It's incredible how long these sessions can be, and it feels like they are super short. And yesterday was 15 minutes and it felt like an hour. Okay, so today is Sunday. Check in the Telegram. Let me know what day you're on, what topics do you want to talk about, what are your situation, how are you feeling, and I want to know, and I will respond to questions and feedback in the Telegram today. So have a beautiful day. I will see you tomorrow, and have a beautiful full moon.